Tell it from the beginning. So we were both from the Gold Coast, and we left in 2008. We decided to let's go.
No, we left in 2009.
Oh, we left in 2009, and we said let's go. Let's get out of here. Like, what prompted that was, I think there was no work anyway on the Gold Coast, and I was getting in trouble a lot. And Brooke, I think it was Brooke's your idea, like saying let's travel, or maybe it was mine, or we were both just like, how can we fix this situation? Or,
yeah.
I
mean, we were kind of in like a little bit of a rut. Like, we were young. You were getting in trouble with the police a lot. Everybody was being made redundant. So I don't know. I think we just decided to get out of there and see.
And
what
that
else.
was our first thought of like, let's go. And ever since that, we've had a lot of like, let's travel, let's do this, let's do that. That was our first like risk, like our first big one. Like, let's go. Everyone was telling us, oh, Brooke and Eddie, they're not gonna do it, or like
they're not gonna last.
like
they're two totally different people. They're
and
not
just
gonna
traveling
last
as like both teenagers, and we were young, and we did leave straight away with $500. Like,
we left
paid for our
with
flights.
$500, and we bought suitcases from like a secondhand store that would like fall into bits. But yeah, we made it work, hey?
Yeah, we landed in we wanted to go to Ellie Beach. My boss was from Ellie Beach, and he said, go check it out. It's going to be nice, and it was beautiful. But we got there, paid for like a caravan park, and we had $500 left. I remember that. That was like, we looked at our balances, $500. And we were just at the job agencies every day, going through jobs, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to work at Hungry Jack's.
The only job that was available was Hungry Jack's, and we were like, fuck, we'll do that if we can't find anything else. But then that night we had a little look around like where we went exploring, and we met a bloke on the pokies machine, and he said, oh, I've been working on this island, like I can see if they need people.
Because Ellie Beach is in the top of Queensland, and that's the Whitsundays with like many islands, like Hamilton Island, Club Med where we work, that was Lindeman Island, like little beautiful islands, very expensive. And we knew that we were on the Whitsundays, but we didn't think about working on the islands. And there was this dude on the pokies that I was having a chat to, and he's just like, yeah, it's my week off, we do 4 on, 1 off or something. And I was like, oh yeah, like, is there any work out there? He's like, yeah, there's always people coming and going. I'm like, oh, can you get us a job? And he's like, yeah, I can get you a job in the laundry. And I was like, fuck yeah.
We ended up going out there. Oh, it was a weird experience. We had a 6-week contract there, and it was like on the movies, like we were greeted with people in like white robes, and there was like a chief of the village there. And then there were 2 different types of employees. So one type, they mixed with all of the customers, so they like basically holidayed with the customers. And then there was the other type of employees that we were, which like worked in the restaurants, worked in the laundry, and we were only allowed in certain parts of the island. So it was a good 6 weeks. A lot of crazy shit happened on the island. It was super weird.
Like, all your food's paid for, your accommodation's paid for. Like, you don't make that much of a wage. I think it was like $500 or $600 a week, but everything's paid for. And we were just saving. And like, we saved for the 6 weeks. We were on both on contracts, and I was in the laundry, Brooke was in the hospitality, and it was weird. Like, all these people that go to Club Med on Lindeman Island, it's like a very expensive island, so it's like big packages for people that travel alone as well, like $7,000 a week or something. And I didn't mingle with the guests, but Brooke did, and she was just the waitress.
Yeah, so after our contract finished, we ended up getting a bus to Mackay to see my dad in the mines.
Yeah.
And he helped us buy our first car, which was an old, broken down, disgusting
Commodore
looking thing. Yeah, it was a Commodore.
That was sick.
You reckon? I was sick.
And I just remember like sitting in the back of like we had to get it registered, and that was a fucking mission. And I remember just sitting, like, we were hot, like we were traveling, like spending money at staying in these caravan parks, and it's pretty expensive, like $40 a night when we should be traveling.
Yeah. And
we didn't want to be in Mackay, we weren't going to work there, so it was just like dead time to get this car registered. And I remember I was just scraping like the tint off the windows with a razor blade, and it was taking so long because the registration didn't pass it. But there was heaps of little things that were fuck traveling. Like people make these videos and they show how good it is, but there's so much like things
small details that
break people, that people don't want to be in these situations. People don't want to like bum it, and like traveling is not always fun. Like a lot of the time it's like tough and boring and cranky, and like eating tuna cans and just shit.
Well, actually, I have so many memories of us. Like we were living off pizza shapes and tinned baked beans, and we didn't have any spoons, so we'd be eating the baked beans with the top of the can that we'd rip off.
Yeah.
And we'd be sitting in a car park somewhere like, what the fuck are we doing? Anyway, from there.
Remember when we got that car, that old Commodore, and we started, our next mission was Mackay to Cairns. And then like we just chose Cairns because we were like, let's go like the next place. But we still didn't have much money, and I was smoking back then, and then as I was smoking, Brooke was so mad because cigarettes cost like $20 a packet.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, you're like wasting all of our money on these things. And I didn't understand how much smokers smoke. So I was like, what the fuck, you just bought a packet like 2 days ago.
And I'm like, are you serious? Like, people buy packets every day.
Yeah.
And then we had a huge fight in the car, and I think you chucked them out or I chucked them out mid-packet. And I remember, I'm like, if you chuck it out mid-packet, you have to quit because that's such a waste.
Yeah.
So that was it. I went cold turkey, and it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, I gave up cigarettes then.
Yeah.
But then we went to Cairns. Eddie got a job as a tiler, and I got a job in a bar, a sports bar.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting a share house with this older dude. That didn't end so well. We found out that he was like taking
He was taking it. It was like a private rental. We were paying him cash for a room, and he was rarely there. And he was just taking our cash. And then the landlord was like knocking on the doors. You pay rent. I'm like, I pay old mate whose unit it was, and he wasn't paying rent. And then like she was trying to give us eviction notices and stuff.
Yeah, well, she did. She gave us a couple.
And I was like, we're paying rent. Just old mate's not paying you, and it's not our fault. But
anyway, he ended up being a creep too. Like we found all these photos of him taking through the blinds of the house of girls in the swimming pool and stuff.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then this lady was like, oh, can you help us clean out his wardrobe? And the whole wardrobe was like full of dildos. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, he threatened like not to give us our bond back, and so we ended up finding where he was living, and we knocked on the door, and there was people living with him there, and we warned them, right?
Yeah.
We were like, oh, be careful, like this guy doesn't pay rent and is a creep and shit. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, about Cairns, like when we got to Cairns is back then, probably still now, like people like, oh, you stopping at Cairns is the highest unemployment.
Oh, you got a worm on you. Can you see him?
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, when we stopped at Cairns, people were like, oh, you can't settle down in Cairns. Cairns has the highest unemployment rate in Australia. And I'm like, nah, should be right. So we just get the phone book out, and you just go through the phone book. Like I started as a tiler's labourer, so rang up every single tile in the phone book. No, like, hey, we're looking for work, man. I'm a labourer. Do you need something? No, yes. And I was like, kept going just in case. No, yes, no, yes. So even in places where it's like impossible, like it's just try. Like seriously, if you want a job, just try. And people don't see that old school try anymore of like rocking up and saying, hey, I'll do a first day free. I need some job. Like people don't see that hard work initiative anymore, and like the old school guys like it. So if you want a job, just bloody make it happen. You know, show a bit of initiative. Offer a free day, like to show your work ethic and stuff. People don't do it anymore.
Yeah, so we always found work wherever we went in Australia, just because we wouldn't give up until we got a job. But yeah, so we stayed in Cairns for a couple of months, and then we just got bored. So, well, actually, yeah, it was that creep that we were like, okay, fuck this place. We couldn't be bothered looking for another place to live in. So, yeah, we packed all of our shit and we started our drive to Darwin. So we actually went to the middle of Australia to Tennant Creek, and Eddie's sister had been working at a pub there, and she said that we could get a job there. So we were actually meant to stay in Tennant Creek, but when we got there, it was just a crazy another world.
If you don't know about Northern Territory and Central Australia is Ayers Rock, Uluru. It's very famous, like landmark, beautiful rock. But that's Central Australia, and it is a very different place. Like the Northern Territory, top of Western Australia, it's a big Aboriginal community still up there, and like there's the racism there it's unreal. Like we come from Queensland Gold Coast, everyone's equal, everyone's the same, but just coming through these places, you start to feel like something's going on. Like, well,
you just start to see a bit of a different world, you know. Like in Tennant Creek, they had a black pub and a white pub, and everyone is kind of like segregated there.
And I was like, are you serious? Like, and then people are like, yeah, mate, this is the way it is. It's been like that. And then people were still smoking in pubs back then, even like there was a legislation saying you can't. But it's that like different and old school there, and doesn't change. And there's like mad racism on both sides. Like, just like the white people were very biased against like a lot of the Aboriginal people, and then a lot of the Aboriginal people were very like would spit at your feet and stuff like that towards white people, and it sucks coming there in limbo but that's just seriously, it's just the way it is. Still, people just word you up on like how it's different here, and it's pretty sad, but it's true. Like, and then you start getting.
And while we were traveling, we were living in a tent. So
that's right.
We pulled up at a caravan park. Well, it wasn't. It was just literally like a area of red dirt.
And no one let us camp there.
Well, I don't know. We did. We camped there for one night.
Yeah, one night, and then people like, no, you're not doing it. Like, you're not gonna do it. Like,
we weren't allowed to be there, right?
There again, because they just thought we would get robbed, and it's true that happens out there. Like,
it was pretty sketchy. Actually,
it's true. Like, there's just groups of like, there's a lot of Aboriginal gangs just walking around. They get like really, really, really wasted. Like, that's just the sadness of the poverty circle. There is just they get really wasted. Like, and on just before the bottle shop opens at 10 a.m, there's just a queue of people just waiting out there, just like still half drunk with goon sacks, and there's just different regulations.
Alcohol, a big problem. We decided that we didn't want to. We decided that we didn't want to work at the RSL there, and that we'd keep traveling all the way up to Darwin. So, we got back in the car and left.
Darwin was like 12 hours from there. Like, a huge, like over 1,000 more.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Drive, like Darwin, Northern Territory strips, like from Tennant Creek to Catherine to Darwin, very, very long strips of road, and like the speed limits, like it has a figure 8, which means any speed. So whatever speed you're comfortable doing.
Yep. So we kept driving. We picked up a hitchhiker. He had no teeth, and he told us that he was. Oh, there's a dog there. He had no teeth, and he told us that he was gonna visit his mum before they turned off her life support. So,
we tried to get him up to the hospital, or not the hospital, like we tried to get him as far as we could in time to help him. Yeah. And we never know what happened, but he smelled, but we tried our best.
It was really sketchy. Probably shouldn't have done that. For a while.
But that's cool. That was a bit of a journey too. And we got to...
Where's Sage? So we got to Darwin, and it took us a while to get some work there. So we were staying at a caravan park for a while. We had a lot of problems staying in that caravan park, actually. Like, our tent and all of our belongings got stolen. We just spent our last $70 on getting groceries, and then that got stolen just before Christmas.
From the camp,
and then another family, when our tent got stolen, they let us stay under their canopy of their caravan for a while. And it was really hard at that time to try and find work. So
I think when we got to Darwin, we were traveling a bit already, and we were starting to like say to ourselves, okay, let's just like chill out for a bit, make some money, because traveling is fun when you have money and you can just plan your trip, but when you don't have an end destination, you start getting a bit uneasy. So we wanted just to like chill out in Darwin and say, okay, let's make Darwin like a 1-2 month thing. Let's get some money back. And doing that, we were trying to stay in the caravan park, and we did for like a couple of weeks, and then
a couple of months, bro. We were there for fucking ages.
But yeah, after that time frame, when they realised that we're staying there for a while, we're not like travelling anymore, travellers as much, they like were trying to kick us out because we were like gathering more.
Well, actually, like when our tent got stolen and we finished staying in our friend's canopy, we bought like a portable garage. It was like this white, it's a carport, a plastic carport, I guess. And we tried to put that up, and it had like little windows in the side. It was so ridiculous. But yeah, we tried to set that up. It was the cheapest thing that we could find at Kmart. It was cheaper than a tent, and we just had to live in something. And yeah, they fucking kicked us out for it.
And they said this is too makeshift, a makeshift home. And like like looking back on it now, or we knew at the time that they were kicking us out because we were bums. So we were like,
we were just trying to scrape by.
So, and you know, when you're getting kicked out of a caravan park, you're like, okay. And in Darwin, like it's pretty half acceptable there, and then we got kicked out, so we're like, okay.
But anyway, we ended up like looking for a unit to move into that wasn't too expensive, and we found the cheapest place that we could in the city, and we thought it would be easier to get work if we were living in the city as well. So we moved in there, but they'd our room, we had to wait for the day for it to get cleaned up because a family had been living in there, and they'd been not using the toilet. They'd been shitting on the floor in every corner in the room. So we had to wait all day for it to get cleaned. And yeah, anyway, we moved in and everything was fine. We ended up getting work. That's when we started working at the strip club together.
Yeah.
So Eddie had his security license. And there was just like one more thing that he had to do to complete his security license. We went to the job interview together. Turns out it was in a strip club. They asked me if I was looking for work too, and I was, but I was looking for office work. And anyway, I ended up working there as a bartender. Eddie worked there once he got his security license cleared. And then we stayed in Darwin for years, and we just continued to work at all the bars and clubs there together. And yeah, Darwin was like a pretty big part of our journey. It was where we like really started to grow up. We met friends that were like on a better track. It's where we first started getting into fitness. So Eddie tried kickboxing for the first time. I started in the gym for the first time.
It was like
it was a big period for us.
It was like, it really made us grow and like be better people there. Like when we first left off traveling, it was just a spare of the moment thing because we weren't in the best place in the Gold Coast. We were young and in trouble. We moved, and then I was having like trouble speaking to people, like just normal people, like working and
like sober because we were like drinking. Like our social events were alcohol, you know.
And then realizing traveling, being humans, and speaking to people about just traveling and being a normal person outside of your comfort zone and your friend group. It's hard being solo and trying to get by and like make things happen and
make new friends in a new town where you don't know anyone. And you know, that was where we like first met like a group of people that like weren't getting in trouble with the police. They were like on the right track. Like they were still really fun people, and we were like, oh, people can have, like, we can have friends outside of drinking that are still fun and good to be around.
That was when I learned that like I can be friends with different groups of people. Like I was always getting attracted to like the same groups of people that I grew up with, and then as soon as I started doing security, I was working with these guys, and I was like, hang on, they're going to the gym, they're
eating healthy, not
like
drinking as
much, and like it was still like a pretty hectic environment. It was a very hectic environment doing like nightclub security full time, but I started getting better role models around me, and that was what made me grow into a much better person. And it was hard at the start, like talking to new people that I didn't know, and like people sometimes you didn't fit in, and I got like anxiety with like people thought they were too cool, and you get that still, but that's all part of growing. And
figuring out who you are too.
Figuring out who I was. I was trying to like not fit in, but I was trying to like work and like meet new people, and I felt like I couldn't fit in, but I was trying to grow. And
yeah, it's like it's a journey trying to figure out who you are and what types of people you want to be around, and like what types of people you were around and where you want to go, you know. Like it's hard, but I think like getting outside of your comfort zone is really important, and like being open to meeting new people, and just being more open to like meeting new people, trying new things.
And it's not easy. Like, you can see why people don't want to do it and don't do it, because you get shut down heaps. Like, you try new things and that's not for you, or those people, like, you didn't fit in, and like, and feels weird and shit. But you do find your place finally. And like, I was hanging around different people, and it was hard, but it was good at the same time. And then I was trying like to lift weights and do gym, and I was in a better lifestyle and routine, but I was still a bit like not trying to find my place. And then I started doing kickboxing with the security guys, and then I like found myself more, and then I started just evolving and like trying to level up. And
it's all about getting outside of your comfort zone, really. That's where you figure out who you really are and what you want.
And you crack the shits heaps, and you like, it's not always fun, but you do get better as a person by trying and trying and trying, and you finally become a better person. You're happier, and you've got more to offer than originally your first self.
I can't even imagine how things would have been if we never left the Gold Coast, or if we stayed in that cycle. Hey, like, it's so weird to think about.
And it's so easy, like
it's so easy
it's
to
so
do
easy
that.
to do that. Like, people like, oh, like, that's why Thailand's good, because a lot of the people here, or pretty much everyone, has done the similar, like, taken the similar risks, and like met new people like outside of their zone. That's why people like traveling independently, because you find that strength, and then once you have it, you're like, I can do it by myself. And that's a really good trait to have, or like thing to learn to do, is you rely on yourself.
But yeah, so we stayed in Darwin for a long time. We would leave a couple of times to try and get out of Darwin, but we would always go back. So for about 7 years, I think, we were going like in and out of Darwin all the time, right? And it was just so easy to get work there once you got experience. We had like such good friends there. Like, we're still friends with everyone now today, and they've always supported us, and some of the best friends we've had were met in Darwin.
Like, that's the thing, like, we had our initial group of friends and family that all you know and like love, and then you travel, and then you travel, and it's have different experiences, good and bad. But then when we finally found our groove in Darwin, like, those people we call like our like real true friends through all that. So we're so glad that we found those people and did those things and the experiences, because we gained so much more than what we already had.
And we ended up in Darwin. We saved a lot of money, earned good money, had like a good lifestyle there, and then we bought a ute. No, we bought a 4-wheel drive, and we converted the back into a bed, and we did the travel down from Darwin down past Perth. We stayed there for a couple of months, explored that area, and then like a couple of years later, we did from the Gold Coast down to Melbourne. Lived in Melbourne for a while. We ended up buying a car in Melbourne, and he sold us a lemon car, and we ended up taking the car dealer to court. Eddie represented himself and won. That was crazy.
I wore a suit, and I dead set, like, did a bit of research, didn't know much what I was doing, but old mate just didn't expect it, and like, I served him to go to court, and I think the judge liked me because
Eddie fucking killed it.
The judge liked me because I just stood up there like, just, dude, that's not that like smart. And I was just saying, like, I did a bit of research, and I'm like, just telling them how he like stuffed us around. And
well,
like,
he did fuck us, but like, he sold us a lemon car and then drove the car all around Melbourne saying that he's getting it fixed, but he was just racking up toll fees. Like, the dude was an absolute fucktard. But we got our money back from that, and that usually doesn't happen. So yeah, anyway, and then we oh, that's in Melbourne is where we studied fitness.
Yeah.
And after all that bullshit with the car, we hated Melbourne and flew back to the Gold Coast, where we finished our PT course. And then straight after our PT course, we opened up our own little studio on the Gold Coast in Burleigh. And yeah, we had such a good crew there of members. It was like a little family environment. And we did a little gym trip to Thailand, which is when we first trained Muay Thai in Thailand, and we discovered that people actually live here for like a couple of months and live like this fighter lifestyle. So we couldn't get that out of our head once we moved back to Australia, and for a couple of months there we were just deciding what we should do, if we should expand our gym or if we should move to Thailand. Then we looked into if it was possible to bring Sage with us to Thailand, found out it wasn't even that hard to get him into the country. So yeah, we ended up selling our business and yeah, packed up all of our shit and fucking moved out here.
Yeah, without too much thought behind it. We're like, oh, like we're gonna take Sage over. We're gonna like sell everything we have. We're gonna give it all away for this like this dream. That's like, is it really a dream? Is it gonna work out? Are we gonna like it?
Yeah.
But
yeah, fuck it. We're always keen for an adventure, and yeah, on to the next one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been fucking rambling, but I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit more about our story and how it started, and a little bit more history about the Farrells. That's
our story in Australia on how we travelled and leveled up, I guess, as people, and like got out of old bad habits and removed ourselves from situations. And
but that like never ends, hey?
No.
Like that, but that's like the start of it. And I feel like as life goes on, like you're constantly going through like phases of leveling up and finding out who you are and finding out what kind of people you want to be around and all of that. But yeah, it changes as life goes on, hey, and you get to know yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're always going to, like, you should always keep improving. Like, you're never going to be like, oh, I did that and boom, that's it, I'm done, I'm an awesome person. Like, you're going to always feel like you feel like sometimes you might do some shit things that you're like, okay, I have to be a better person, that was shit. You can always improve as a person. Thanks
for watching, guys. Let us know down below what you want to see more of.
And we're going to document our journey a little bit more, tell stories about what we've done, our fights, experiences, stuff that has been fun, that hasn't been fun. But yeah, these videos take a while to edit and do, so if you could subscribe, it'll keep us going. Just down below. Thanks, guys.